So we're back with the Jujutsu Kaisen Cursed Clash DLC concept, and today we're doing a character that's been highly requested, and them giving us Naruto Shikamo was basically, I think, like a prequel, and them testing some things out before they actually give us Choso. I know a lot of people want Choso, and doing this concept was actually pretty difficult. You'd think it'd be easy, but he has so many things, and the way he fights might seem like a little bit complicated to actually implement into the game, but I definitely think we'll be getting Choso at some point. He should definitely be coming from the Shibuya arc, since he was one of the key focuses and one of the key points of the arc, man. So if this is something you might be interested in, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell, do all those nice things. And today's anime question is going to be, if Choso comes to the game, do you think he's going to be better than Kamo? Which blood manipulation user will be better? But we're not going to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and hop straight into this video. Alright, so we talk about some Choso. The key things that we need to know about him is that he has massive curse energy. So I think he's going to have a pretty high curse energy bar. And he has all the same techniques that Kamo has, but he can do them even better. So he has blood manipulation, but he doesn't have a domain expansion, at least to the point that we've seen in the anime. So I don't expect one from him in the game. And there's no way he doesn't have any type of close combat. The way that we saw him fight Itadori and fight Kinjaku close up, if they don't give this man any type of hand-to-hand combat, that is actually crazy. I thought it was crazy they didn't give Kamo anything, considering that he was able to fight Megami, but this man literally fought Itadori and Kinjaku. He better have some melee strikes. So we go into the basic auto. I think he's going to be utilizing the Blood's Edge. And this basically is a blood weapon. Basically, Choso hardens his blood and it can allow him to make blades and even claws. We saw him do like some Wolverine type stuff. So I think this auto combo would involve him using some type of blood blade and then finish off with a blood slash. As far as the joint attack, I think it could be the Supernova. I know this has been a highly requested move. And this one basically, Choso makes blood orbs appear near the enemy. And then once it explodes, that's when the joint animation happens. So this would be a pretty ranged joint animation. You can be able to catch people off guard. And the way the animation would actually work, I think he'll do Supernova again. It hits you and then Choso would enforce his hand and like probably punch you with like extremely strong blood strike. I think this would be pretty cool. We move over to the extractions. The first one's going to be the Blood's Edge Dagger. And Choso strikes with a blood infused blade, ending with a slash strike. So this is just basically one of your basic melee strikes, but he'd make a blood dagger. The next extraction is going to be the Blood's Edge Claw, where he basically makes it into like the Wolverine claw, and the user slashes the enemy with a blood claw, knocking the enemy back. So this one would be the one to give you your wall bounce for you to get some things like to set some things up and also be able to follow up. So he'd have the dagger and he'd have the claw. Now the next extraction is where we actually get into some of his range techniques and some more blood techniques. So the next extraction is going to be the blood manipulation, blood meteorite. And this one is Choso hardens blood into a projectile and fires at an opponent. And this one also applies the status element of blood. And we'll talk about that more later on. But this one I think would just be like one strike, like a meteor strike. Of course you could spam it. I think it'd be able to come out pretty quickly. But when you hit somebody with it, I think it knocks you back. And I think this could work similar maybe to Hanami's Cursed Buds, or maybe even similar to Maki's being able to throw out her knife. But let me know how y'all feel about this one. The next extraction is going to be the blood manipulation, slicing exorcism, scatter. And for this one, Choso shoots out high-speed blood blades towards the enemies, and this would be similar to Kamo's, but I put scatter because of the fact that we've seen him whenever he does this, he can actually target multiple enemies. So I think if you hold down, you can actually hit both enemies with this. If you only just press it once, I think it just go to one enemy, but I think it'd be a little bit different than Kamo's, like a little bit faster, and since it's an distraction technique, it doesn't use your curse energy, and I think this one would also apply the blood defect that we're going to be talking about. We move over to the curse techniques. The first curse technique is going to be the blood manipulation, piercing blood, basically very similar to Kamo, but this one is going to have an additional input that allows you to choose a direction. We saw Choso do this a lot of times, making his blood go left, right, up, and down. So I think with additional input, you can control if this goes to the left, if it goes to the right. You could also go straight, just a normal shot if you don't do any input, or you can go up and down. I think this would allow some freedom and make this pretty crazy. And I think the higher your curse level gets, the longer you can hold the technique, allowing you just to be able to move around with the stick. I think curse technique 2 is going to be blood manipulation, flowing red scale, stack. They have to add this one because they didn't do it with Kamo, and I think this one would increase your movement and dash speed and also your defense, and all blood techniques would deal damage in this state. So basically all of your techniques are going to be able to deal damage. I think this would be kind of similar to what Yuta does with his determination, where he coats his blade with the curse energy. I think when you're in this state, any of your blood moves, basically all of your moves are going to deal damage. While this wouldn't be crazy damage, this would allow Choso to be able to focus on his hand-to-hand a little bit, because you can actually be able to deal some damage with your first extractions that I talked about. And of course, this would drain your curse meter as it's going on, like moves like this tend to do. With his ultimate technique being the blood manipulation slicing frenzy. And I think this one would be like a cinematic where he's maybe just using his piercing blood and he's just slashing you multiple times. I think this would be pretty cool. And I know you're probably still wondering, what about this blood status element? And that's what we're going to talk about with the passive ability. I think the passive ability would be blood poisoning. And this basically means enemies affected with blood have their curse gauge recovery reduced. We actually saw his poison affect, I think, Urahime person. Urahime? The person that was basically under Sukuna. We saw this person get affected by Choso's blood poisoning. I think this would be an interesting way to implement this into the game, causing it to where it slows down your curse energy. And I think we can maybe get a special joint with him and Esso, and maybe with Itadori, you know, since they do got that connection going on, man. But let me know in the comments, how do you actually feel about this concept for Choso? Would you be happy with this, or do you think there's just a little bit too much? Like, I went a little bit generic with the first extractions with the combos, but I think you gotta have a little bit, you know, of course you're gonna have those generic extractions. Even Toji has a generic extraction where he slams down into the ground. But let me know how y'all actually feel about this concept, and if you'd be excited if Choso came to the game like this. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn the bell. Let me know your ideas in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video, man. Yeah.